Namaste and welcome to India Calling. Stories from spiritual travelers across the globe, brought to you by Smukti. Today's guest is someone whose story is unlike anyone else that we have heard before. He has lived in India for about 37 years. He comes all the way from New Zealand. Meet Mayank. Mayank went to India at the age of 26. That's where he met his guru. And let's hear more about his story of India and his connection with India as a motherland. Mayank, welcome to the show.
Lovely, lovely. Thank you, Sabin. Very nice to be here. Namaskar, everybody.
Superb. You were 26, a New Zealander with no particular plan, and somehow ended up in the Kulu Valley. Could you talk more about your first visit to India, and how was it like to be in India back in the 20 years back, 80s?
Yeah, 1986. Yeah.
That's when I was born.
Nice. Yeah. Well, yeah, it was interesting the way it all happened because I wasn't particularly looking. I didn't think I was looking for anything, especially never imagined that I'd be going to India. So my girlfriend at the time, she was really searching for meditation. She knew from deep within that she needed to meditate and that would help answer a lot of the questions and the struggle within her. And I'll try and cut the story short. An old school friend of hers, her sisters were up in the Kulu Valley with Swami Sham, and her old school friend came back from visiting them and had a very profound experience. And the first person she thought of sharing that experience with was her old friend, Rebecca. And so she called her up and they started talking about India and about Swami Sham. And I was in the background hearing all of this and also got very intrigued. And she taught us both to meditate at that point, following Sham Dhyan, or the technique that Swamiji taught, which is Sham Dhyan, meditation on space as your own true essence. And then my friend Rebecca, she went off to India. She felt so drawn that within several months she went to India, and we parted ways at that particular point, but I kept up a friendship with her friend and we kept meditating together. Fast forward a year and suddenly I'm on a plane to India, and no one's more surprised than I am that I'm heading off to India, because I was a very happy and content musician, playing music, living a pretty free life, but there was a calling from within. And so I ended up in India, which was landing at Mumbai airport in 1986 at 4:00 in the morning, shook this little Kiwi boy to his roots. And I was like, where have I landed? And I'd never been to I hadn't traveled out of New Zealand at all. So it was a huge shock. But my reaction was I just started buzzing with excitement. I just thought, whoa, this is incredible. And I felt held. I didn't feel fearful. I felt very alert because I was aware that I was in a very big country and I was alone. But something inside of me just started buzzing with the vibration of India immediately. I can't describe what that was, and anybody who's experienced that, who I'm sure many people who are watching this will have experienced that, they'll know what I'm talking about. Just that excitement, that buzz. There's that inherent freedom in the very atoms of India, that life is just in your face. Whereas in our Western world, I think I find that there's so much is kind of pushed under the carpet and not talked about and not seen in the streets. And whereas you go to India and everything is just out there living in the streets. Everybody's out living in the streets. Everyone's talking to each other. You go through suburbia in some of these Western countries and it's, where are all the people that live in these houses? Everyone's living in their little bubble, their little shells. Anyway, so I found my way from Mumbai up to Delhi, and there I actually met a friendly face in Delhi. Some friends were in the city who had come from the Hermitage up in the Himalayas and were there, and they knew I was coming, so they met me and they sort of helped me to find water and food.
Wow.
And then I flew up to the Kulu Valley. In those days, it was a airline called Viaduct, and it cost 650 rupees to fly up to Kulu. And I also got a room at the Imperial Hotel, because that's where everyone stayed at in those days, which was also only 650 rupees. Wow. Whereas now it's $650 American dollars, if not more. And I found myself sitting at the feet of Swami Sham on a beautiful moonlit night up in the Himalayas, and my life changed from that moment on. Not like a bolt of lightning in that moment. There was something incredibly natural and normal about meeting Swami Sham for me. My experience was like, yeah, right. This is nice. This is where I'm meant to be. It was just a sense of like, oh yeah, everything's perfect right here, right as this. And that next 3 months that I spent there in satsang every day and going deeper with meditation was very, very, very profound. I didn't really know what was happening to me. Various old heads that I spoke to in the community were just encouraging me to just don't overthink it. Just open yourself and embrace what's coming. Don't try and grab it with your mind and your intellect. Just let the satsang flow through you. Let yourself just hear what you can hear and not struggle with what you don't understand. In those days, Swamiji was giving a lot of satsangs around Patanjali Yoga Darshan. And so he was speaking a lot of Sanskrit terms, all of the Sanskrit terms of talking about Chitvritti Narod and all of the Klesh. And of course, it was a foreign language to me. So I'm trying to play catch up in these satsangs. And there's so many words I'm not hearing or understanding. But what it did do is it made me go home after satsang, and I found a copy of Patanjali, this very beautiful translation by a scholar called Taimni, which many people might have heard of. And I just sat down and started reading this book. And I think if I'd been here in New Zealand, I wouldn't have got past page 1 or 2. But in that environment, suddenly I was reading these words, which I was hearing every day and going, oh, that's what means. And so it was a crash course in yoga philosophy, really, for me, because I went in a complete newbie. But a fire was lit in me that I just wanted to understand what I was experiencing and what I was hearing. And it was a very, very deep and amazing experience. So by the time I left there after 3 months, I sat with Swamiji. I got a chance to sit with him, and I just said, I feel like this is the direction my life needs to be. And if I can make it happen, can I come back? And he said, yes, most welcome, if you can make it happen. So it took me a year and a half. I came back to New Zealand, and the one thing I did was I just kept hanging on to meditation every day. And that was my lifeline back to Guru, because as we come to realize, Guru is nothing but your own self. It's not a separate form, a separate figure. It's the voice of your own self speaking. And the reason you love that form or that figure is because it's speaking the truth that you've always been wanting to hear, but you weren't hearing anywhere outside you in the normal waking state realm of consciousness. And suddenly that was my experience, I think, is sitting with Swamiji, was that like, I've always known this, but nobody ever put words to it. Wow. And I'm sure people can relate that here was these words and this vision which he was opening, this way of seeing. And I love that word darshan for that, because darshan, it's not just seeing the Guru, it's a way of seeing. It's the seeing of the self. So darshan, when you get darshan, it means that vision is open, and you also start seeing that it's oneself, it's one Atma. And when you start having that experience in the presence of your Guru, whether it's an external form Guru or your own Guru light within that opens, that you can then start seeing through that, the one eye, the third eye, which is actually the one eye, the first eye. These eyes are second, really. Then that's, a game changer. Everything changes. And then I went back, 1988, and the way things unfolded for me, without getting into all the specifics, I was able to stay, and I managed to be there and just sit with Guruji for year after year for all of those years, which what an incredible blessing to have the company of a realized being day in, day out, that personal company, and go deep into that fire of knowledge which unfolds that transformation of the human consciousness into that state of oneness where that vision is opened.
Beautiful. But tell me one thing, how was it like? Because you were born and brought up in New Zealand. I'm not sure if you are used to gods and devotion. Was it part of the culture there, part of your being there? And then you come to India. And suddenly you listen to a master, you meet a master, and you're changing your life based on that. Wasn't there like a trust issue, or what is all this, or like science related questions, or it's unscientific or something like that within you? Like, what are the fictions that you had, and how did you overcome it? Like, what happened?
Yeah, well, it's interesting because what you're saying, I saw in a lot of people who came and sat with Swamiji, that questioning and that skepticism and that like, whoa, hang on. But for me, I can only speak for me, that wasn't my experience. It just felt very natural. And there was so my background, which probably was significant, was the fact that my father was a Presbyterian minister. So I did grow up in the Christian church. But at the age of 16, I walked away from that with my father's blessings, luckily, because I said, this doesn't make sense to me and I'm not finding any real meaning or understanding here. And I don't feel any need to keep pursuing this attending church. And he said, okay, well, you're old enough to make your own mind up about that. And I loved my father very dearly. And I said, this is no reflection on you. He was a very good minister. I think he was an amazing minister. And he wasn't orthodox. He was out of the box and a very free thinker. And even his contemporaries used to often call him a bit of a maverick, meaning he was a bit of he was a free thinker. So maybe I inherited some of that free thinking from him. And that allowed me, I think, the freedom to think outside of the normal paradigms of perhaps normal Christianity or normal religion. I really didn't feel any draw to any particular religion, but I did like philosophy. And in my student days, I did actually love sitting around in bars and having a good philosophical conversation. And I remember at one point thinking, I don't believe in God, I believe in me. And I saw that years later, that was actually quite a profound understanding, because when I realized what me really is, that the me is actually Atma Brahm, that me is the me that everybody says me. At the time, I was probably more thinking, I could have thought that me just meant me, this individual. But I realized that something was open in me, even at that point, that I realized that the me is a universal me, that every living thing says me, me hu. And so yes, listening to Swamiji just felt, like I said, like I've been waiting all my life to hear these words, hear this confirmation of this one existence, this one life. And from that perspective, how everything made sense. Suddenly everything made sense. What I'd seen in the world. Why are some people like that? Why are some people like this? Why do countries and families and institutions, why? The big why. Why is it like this? Why does this happen like this? I think when you start understanding it, the nature of the play of manifestation, and that it is this field of existence for us to learn and grow through, then we start to see the perfection in everything, even the things which the normal dualistic human mind will want to call bad or even good, that these things are only relative to the dualistic state of mind, and that actually everything is just happening. And we start to understand the whole philosophy of non-doership. This was the whole conversation between Krishna and Arjuna in the Bhagavad Gita. The whole thing is all about this question of who's doing. And Krishna's saying to Arjuna, listen, buddy, I'm doing everything. Everything that you are doing has already been done. It's already happened. You are just merely an instrument living in this life. There's no birth, there's no death. Now, how to understand that? The human mind cannot understand that. For the human mind, there's a beginning and there's an end, and there's an individual in the middle who does all these actions and who creates all of these situations. And we start getting into all the philosophy of karma and Maya and all of these things. But when you start to realize that it's just one flow of life, and that in that flow of life, there's no birth and no death, that life alone is, then, that's a big shift. Then everything starts looking a bit different. So, I think for the more scientific Western mind, there is a struggle to hear these words. And as I said to you, my teaching partner and myself, we do satsang here regularly in New Zealand, and we run retreats. And so we see people running up against this kind of like, well, hang on, how can you say that? Where's the scientific proof, or all of these things that the human mind gets stuck on? And it's all relevant. We have to work through all of this stuff. But there has to be a hole in the pearl where the light can get in, where the Guru Vakya, the words of truth, can enter and start transforming that human consciousness. Has to be awakened and churned.
Yeah.
And we have to bring the light from that.
One last question about Guruji, because I just can't get out of this conversation. You describe Swami Sham as someone who spoke satsang all day, every day. Can you recall some moments from the satsang that really cracked you open?
Oh my goodness, many over the years. I mean, so many precious moments.
Give some context to the users, your understanding previously, prior to that as well. And, post that, how it changed. Yeah, that'll be nice.
Oh gosh, that's a very good question. So I'm just trying to think. There's so many things flying through my head. So I'm trying to land on something. But I think, his main thing was meditation. That without meditation, you're not going to break through that duality consciousness, which keeps you bound as this body form, which is born and then which will die. And I've come to see the truth of that the underlying angst of every human being, the underlying cause of all of their dissatisfaction is this underlying fear of death, and they describe it with that beautiful word, abhinavesh. Until you're actually able to see that there is no death, and here's the dichotomy, we are deathless. We are born of pure, free, forever self-existence that has been, always will be. It has never known death. It has never known birth. We cannot know that with our normal individual waking state I consciousness. But within ourselves, we know it. We know it's the truth. Yes. And that's why we feel so torn, because we're living one experience, which is the experience of birth and death and waking state and duality. This is good. This is bad. My son is born, but my father just died. I'm happy with that, but I'm sad with that. My country's at war. My country has a drought, blah, blah, blah. It goes on and on. How do we make peace with this? We struggle with it because somewhere inside we know that this is not who we are, and this is not really the reality that defines us totally. And why? Because we know that ultimately we're free, and we can't understand if I'm ultimately free, not that it's even conscious. I know that I'm free. Most people are walking around saying, no, thinking that freedom is on the physical level. When I get out of the jail of my mind, then I'll be free. And people are doing all sorts of things to try and get out of their mind. They're drinking, they're smoking, they're traveling, they're doing all sorts of things. Any distraction, throwing themselves into working 16 hours a day just to keep themselves from having to sit and watch their mind and the agitation within their mind when it's got nothing to hook onto. Because then that quietness, that kind of inner angst comes up, sort of going, I don't want to die. I don't want to die. And I see that's what's coming. I mean, it's a very simplistic way of describing the whole human condition. So for me, the profundity came, I think, when through the meditation, Swamiji led my attention to that space that you're perceiving within is not just the back of your eyes. It's the very vast Shamarkash, the whole field of existence where you exist as nothing but pure freedom, pure love, pure bliss. And it's accessible to you, but you have to keep taking a dip and making an acquaintance with that. You have to keep doing it. Otherwise, your mind will keep coming back. Your sense of individuality will keep rising up and dragging you outward back into the relative field and keep cementing you into this individual form as your only reality. It's not that it's not a reality. We do have these forms. We have these bodies, and we have to look after them. But rather than going to the temples outside of us and looking for the grace of God through a temple, we have to make this our temple. We have to treat this with love and respect and realize this is the vehicle which can take us over to the other side, crossing the river of life and reach the other bank where we look back and we go, it's all me. There's nothing to fear. So I haven't given you any one specific story because
Yeah. Yeah.
Something might come to me, but I can't just pinpoint any one nugget at this point. Okay, yes, I can. Okay, one little incident I had with Swamiji, because it wasn't all bliss. It was a lot of sadhana is very hard work, and you have to face a lot of inner dialogue that comes up layer upon layer, and it has to be kind of burnt off. It's like the dross. So I remember I was going through a particularly hard time at one point, and I kept churning on a point in my mind about something which had happened, and I was feeling very sad and upset about it. I presented it to Swamiji and I said, I feel like I'm churning on it because there's something I need to get from this. There's something I'm meant to understand. And this is our kind of the way we're trained. You have to examine and he just looked at me and went, no. He said, this is your Western Christian psychological training. And I went, oh, he said, you have to be like a good batsman. He said, you have to step up to the wicket and you have to hit the ball out of the park. In other words, you have to use the power of your vivek, your discrimination, to see that this is just mind, and you have to counteract your mind. You have to be a counterforce to the mind by using mantra or just using knowledge, any wisdom that can come to shake you out of this wheel of mentality which just leads you down. And he said, if you don't hit the ball, you'll get bowled for a duck. And he said, and we've seen that the ball of the mind always rolls down. It'll always roll down and take you down to the bottom of the hill. So you've got to take the ball up and stay up at the top. And that was a big change for me in the way I thought from that day onwards. Like he gave me some Guru Shakti that day to go, yeah, what the hell? Yeah. Enough of this spinning. Just him releasing me for the fact that you're not going to get anywhere in this. It's not going to lead you anywhere except further into more mind. You might get some momentary release, but it's not going to break this pattern of this kind of trying to analyze and think your way out of the mind. You have to transcend. You have to traverse over and out of into the dimension from where mind comes, not keep sitting in all the waves on the surface. You have to take the analogy the other way. You have to drop down to the bottom of the ocean, go deep where it's completely still and silent. And it's still ocean. You're not denying anything. Anytime you want to, you can come back up to the surface and play in the waves of the mind. They'll all still be there. And you can think and you can create, but now you're not at the mercy of when there's a storm, you can just dive down deep and go, it's all peaceful down here. I'm still in water, but I don't have to be up there floating and in the storm of the waves. And so I started practicing that with vengeance, and it changed everything. And it's still, I went through many storms over the years, but I built a power. I had direction. And that's what the Guru does. He gives you the direction. And all the great teachers have given many great directions. Ramana Maharshi, he gave everybody the question, who am I? And Swamiji used to laugh. He loved Ramana very much. And when I first went to Kulu, actually, he encouraged me to read that little Ramana Maharshi book, Who Am I? Because in those days, Swami hadn't written many books himself. Now there's many beautiful books that he's written. But he very purposely called his hermitage International Meditation Institute, because it says I am I. And he said, this is the answer to Ramana's question. Wow. Who am I? He said, the answer is I am I. Oh, wow. And he said, that's your meditation.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. Nice, eh?
Very beautiful.
Yeah, it is very beautiful.
But that also leads me to the next question. So from all the way from Himachal to the southern part of India, you had what? Like you always said, meditation, going inward, staying in a place is all enough. But what did India as a geography do to your journey?
Well, it's interesting. I remember one day looking at the map of India and I noticed where Kulu was. If you look at the shape of India, it's kind of like that.
Yeah.
And you've got Delhi up there is kind of like the nose. And I noticed that Kulu Valley is like the third eye point if you think of India as like a face.
Oh, wow. Yeah, that's quite an observation. Yes.
Yeah, that was,
Yeah.
I don't know if I don't know if anyone's said anything like that before, but it occurred to me many years ago.
I have heard someone claim his town as the navel of India. It's a town near in Maharashtra.
Yeah,
So, and it makes sense what you're saying.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, yeah. But I did some wonderful journeys around India. I spent most of my time just sitting close to Guruji. I had no desire really to go anywhere except around the hills around Kulu. I did a lot of trekking up into the forests and the mountains. I loved that. But I did do a train trip all the way around India, 108 hours on second class sleeper trains.
Wow.
And I loved it. I loved it. Didn't get sick. Didn't have any bad experiences.
Which year was this?
2006, maybe. Yeah. And I did another trip in 2000, actually. And I came down the coast towards your part of India and
Nice.
went down through Karnataka and all down the coast there. It was lovely. Yeah, I loved it. Spent a little bit of time in Mumbai. I'd always wanted to visit Mumbai. Yeah. But mostly I was up in Himachal and spent time up there. But I mean, I love India, you know.
Was there any specific moment or, collective, memory, that worked for you or for even for the people who you bring around? I know for the last 6 years, you've been bringing a lot of people to India as well. So if you can share some moments from that of how India as a space works with travelers and spiritual seekers.
Yeah, very much. People love I think what I was describing before, just that kind of unbridled freedom. There's a lot of love. You know, India's a real one big parivar. They're like one big family, you know, and when you're out on the street, you know, the families are all there and the mums and dads and their kids and everybody's ready to say hello and every rickshaw driver's ready to give you satsang. Everybody's a pundit. It's wonderful. I think, you know, people who love India, they feel that right from the word go, that there's just a kind of a bubbling of India that I think people find very infectious. Up in the Himalayas, there's so much history. There's so much kind of mystique about the Himalayas, you know, like the great Himalayas, you know, and all the great saints and sages who have lived there. And you know, for sure, it's an ancient country with a rich ancient history, and it's seeped in yoga. It's the home of yoga. It's always had rishis and munis and saints living and meditating on its lands, and you feel that, all the temples and the inherent devotion in the people. Yeah, I think people find that very moving. The fact that there's kind of the spirituality, it's not bound up in dogma and kind of stuffiness like it is, I think, in the West. I think, you know, for people who come from a Western culture where spirituality is often defined as Christianity, and I've got nothing against Christianity, and I think every religion has its place. It's all perfect. But I think for those people who are drawn to India, it's often because of that more the freedom in the spirituality, which I think is not often found. And I think that's why we've seen such a big proliferation of kirtan happening in Western culture now. It's taking off, and people are loving the spirit of the kirtan. And actually we do kirtan as part of our programs, and we actually call what we do spirit of kirtan, because it's about the joy. It's about breaking out of the conceptual mind and just living and transcending. It's about mantra and you know, opening the headspace, opening the heart, and just being free. And I think it doesn't get caught up in performance and whether you can sing or you can not sing. It's just about self-expression and singing the love for yourself. And if you want to call that self God or Bhagavan, it doesn't matter. You know, some people, if you're doing kirtan here in the West, some people do get caught up on all of the words as if it's all Hare Krishna and Hare Rama and everything. So we're always saying to people, look, these are just names of your own true self. You're not singing to some god or deity that's separate, especially if that doesn't suit your idea or concept. Just drop that concept and imagine that your name is Ram, your name is Krishna, your name is Radha.
Yeah.
And just sing to your own blessed life force and feel the joy that comes from that. So yeah, all these beautiful traditions, and of course the movement tradition as well. Hatha yoga, such a beautiful practice when it's used as a way to prepare the body for meditation, which is my emphasis always, that yoga is not physical exercise. It's not about looking body beautiful. It's not about doing poses, fantastic gymnastic poses. It's about moving the body, shifting the energy, preparing the nervous system so that when you do sit, you can sit still, you can sit quiet. And unless your body is prepared for that, your nervous system won't let you do that. And so in the West, we've seen Hatha yoga taken in a direction which is, well, whatever it is, making any comment. I think it does. The beautiful thing is that even if you go into doing Hatha yoga thinking that you're doing it just to make your body strong, I know many people who have started doing it and have, through the process, ended up being drawn into meditation and going into deeper essence of what yoga really is, which is unity consciousness. But unfortunately, a lot of people just think yoga is poses. But actually, that's just Hatha yoga. It's just one little part of this huge thing called yoga, which is the yoking, the bringing everything together into unity. And that's where the real beauty is. So I am a movement teacher, and that's my focus. And I've done a lot of somatic work as well through the Hanna somatic tradition, which is a beautiful, beautiful practice. And for me, it was never intended by Thomas Hanna, who created this, as something which leads people to meditation as part of the yoga tradition. But for me, that's how I completely see it, that it's such a beautiful way to down-regulate the nervous system, open full relaxation in the body and in the posture, and just allows people then to just feel good in their body, to be able to sit still and quiet. And then more recent years, I've also started delving deeply into Qigong, and that's also been another beautiful exploration for me. And the more I go into it, the more I can see the history. I can just imagine all of the Qigong Zen masters crossing the Himalayas into India, and all the yogis crossing the Himalayas into China, and they're all cross-pollinating. And now I can see so many beautiful crossovers between Qigong or Tai Chi, any of the yoga tradition, especially the Hatha yoga tradition. But again, Qigong wasn't just a movement practice. It's got this beautiful Zen, the Tao Te Ching, the philosophy behind it also. So the world is actually just bubbling with knowledge and these rich cultures up there in Asia who have just been keeping this tradition alive and going for millennium. It's just, it's beautiful. And the Western countries tuned in back in the 60s that there was something to be learnt from these traditions, and it's still going on. And I think the other thing I'm really appreciate is I think I'm seeing in India now, there's a younger generation of Indians who are turning back towards their roots. I think, India, since you were a boy and since I was there as a young man in 86, boy, has it changed. When I think about the 80s and the 90s, and then suddenly in the 2000s, where India has gone now, it's such a huge technological giant. It's got some of the best IT masters in the world are coming from India, medicine, all of these things. So India has prospered and flourished and become such a wealth of very smart people. I mean, India invented maths, right?
Yeah, yeah.
And I think there was, and it still is, I'm sure, to a big part of the country, it's moving more into a Western direction of kind of wealth and prosperity.
Yeah.
But there's also, I see a movement within the younger generation who are turning back and rediscovering their roots. And we've met a lot of very beautiful younger generation Indians who are, in their 20s and 30s and who are really embracing this tradition of yoga. And I think actually your beautiful guru, Sadhguru, has been a big factor in that. And there's also in the Western culture, this Muji, who's kind of like the the guru of the age for that, the younger generation now. This guru tradition is going on. There are these beautiful teachers there, and there's many beautiful Advait teachers also around. And we like to think we're also keeping that flame lit with Shikar doing beautiful satsang regularly here. And we running the retreats that we run, which are based around this philosophy. It's all about the transformation, about meditation and satsang, sham dhyan meditation, and gyan. Sham Dhyan and Sham Gyan.
Okay.
So knowledge and meditation, the two wings of the bird that allow you to fly free. It's the only thing which is going to work for a human being to find true meaning, happiness, and peace in their life. I truly believe that. I've seen enough people enter into this path. I've seen enough people who are still struggling, who have tried everything else, and it doesn't ultimately work. It really doesn't. Name, fame, anything outward is just temporary. It's a temporary fix. It's temporary happiness. And in the end, it's actually just a diversion from the real purpose of the life, which is to truly, truly understand who you truly are as a free being, as pure, free, forever awareness, consciousness, bliss.
Superb. Many Western travelers, you also covered this when you spoke last. You spoke about the studio version of yoga. And when they often come to India thinking Rishikesh, meditation or yoga, and they still don't find what they're supposed to see in India or experience in India. What do you think would take for any Western traveler? What would your advice be to imbibe India?
It's a tough question. I often get asked that by people who come to India and come to our retreats. Like, I want to stay afterwards and I want to travel and I want to do this. The problem is I didn't really do much of that myself. I found my guru and I just sat there with him. And when I did go traveling, I wasn't really looking I'd already found my teacher. I'd found my path and I knew I just had to stay the course. I wasn't shopping around for anything else. I was just kind of enjoying. So I don't know. It depends what you're looking for. If you're looking for meaning, if you're looking for meditation, if you're looking to enhance your spirituality, go deeper into the philosophy, do your research, find a place where it resonates with you. And then actually a good friend of mine just told me this information, gave me this advice recently to pass on to another student. And she said, do your background on any place that you're thinking of going to, and even see if you can connect with people who have been there before and ask them, how did they find it? And was it genuine? And was it richly rewarding and satisfying? I mean, India's a big country and there's a lot of stuff out there to choose from. So in a sense, you've got to trust your intuition and follow your heart and use your wisdom.
Yeah.
You just keep your eyes open and be discriminating. Be discerning and, make sure you're getting what you want and you're not just being seduced into some trippy diversion with promises of quick fix freedom. There's no quick fix freedom. It's work. It takes the long haul. It's got to be a long-term commitment. You might have an initial experience, but that is often just a gift to give you a glimpse of the true depth that's there if you hold the course and go the full distance. And there'll be tough times. There'll be times where you'll be confronted. But as one of our dear friends used to say, an older, wiser soul who'd been with Swamiji for many years, she used to say, you have to be absolutely checkmated. And then you'll give up the fight against moving towards your true self. So the mind has to be absolutely checkmated, and sometimes that's not comfortable. It's a very uncomfortable place to be, and it's confronting, yeah. But the other side of it is the bliss and the freedom, inner freedom, and then you can live that anywhere. And that's what I saw leaving India and coming back here and setting up what we've set up here. That you take that wherever you go. That freedom cannot be taken from you.
Yeah. Yet you come back every year, September, October, you are leading a retreat with a group.
Yeah.
What pulls you back? Is it the land, people, memory of Guruji, that something doesn't have a name? What is it like?
Yeah. All of those things, definitely. I mean, the moment we fly back into Delhi, it's kind of like, yay, let's go to Savaratna. Let's go have South Indian food,
Nice.
And yeah, we love the mountains. I mean, we spent so many years there, so it's like going home. And also the community that grew up around Swamiji is still there. Our situation just meant that we came back and ended up being here through a whole series of events, and it just made sense to be here. But there's a part of us which would have probably chosen to stay there. I mean, COVID was a big part of that. We ended up stuck back here in New Zealand, and then things happened. Basically, I'm taking care of my elderly mum, and that's been a big pull to just be here for her. But the chance to go back to India and go back to our old community, they're like family. They're family and friends. Guruji's essence, his presence is very strong there. The satsang is going on every day. It's a vibrant satsang community. So it's kind of like we can just switch off from being the teachers and just go and sit and lie in the beautiful vibration that they're all creating. And it's a beautiful rest and a recharge for us. And then we offer to bring people into that environment, not actually in our ashram. Our retreat is quite separate and further up the valley in a beautiful little village called Naga, up on the side of the hill, halfway up the valley towards Manali. And it's a beautiful spot, and we've got a beautiful local family there who we've been working with for over 10 years. And it really is a family hotel. It's a family setup. And the people who come there and do the retreats, they end up having a lifetime connection with our hosts and their family. Many of them go back with their own families to go back and visit and stay there. So it's beautiful. It's 2-week immersion. We share the sadhana that we did all our lives. We share the meditation, the philosophy, the movement, and we also, of course, take some time to just enjoy the local culture and go and visit some of the local sites, temples, go for mountain walks, try lots of lovely local food. We get some of the local kirtan boys to come in and sing for us one night. We've had the local Himachali dancers come in and put on a dance festival for us, and we all get up and dance with them. So, yeah, a real cultural immersion, but with the focus being on satsang and meditation and nice, relaxing movement. Yeah.
Last time when we spoke about Tiruvannamalai, Auroville, and Chidambaram. But when I spoke about Chidambaram and Nataraja, you lit up. So I want to know more about that, and also the formless India that you spoke about, right? How does the South call you more, or South call you, unlike the Himalayas? I know you've spent a lot of time in the Himalayas, Guruji, and everything. How did the South happen, and your journey here?
Yeah, well, I had some friends down in Auroville, and so we went down and stayed with them. And that was, an amazing experience. We actually ended up staying at a place where the gentleman who was running it was one of the original folk there with the mother and helped dig all that land and plant all those trees. So, it's an amazing story how Auroville happened, and Aurobindo was a beautiful being, and he wrote all of his beautiful books and philosophies. And of course, the mother was there and based Auroville on his teachings. It's a very different world. India is a land of many different worlds, all within one country. I think it's incredible. Every state has a very distinct flavor, and even the food is so unique between the north and the south. And the people also, the languages. It was funny because I went down south, and of course I would try to speak Hindi, but nobody speaks Hindi. So I had to, English is better. So yeah, I loved it being down there, and it's warm. Yeah, beautiful food, beautiful climate. I mean, the beaches, Karnataka's beautiful. I didn't get much of Kerala, unfortunately, but I did go to Orissa, and and then went inland to Tiruvannamalai and had a beautiful time there, and climbed the Arunachala mountain and sat up there and meditated, sat in the Ramana's caves. Yeah, just beautiful space, beautiful energies. Yeah. a magical
Super.
experience to be able to travel. And the temples down there, I'm almost temple overload.
Yeah, yeah.
By the time I come back, I was kind of like, okay, I can't visit any more temples. I'm full. I'm
Yeah,
full to
yeah.
the brim.
True, true,
Just
true. Es-
amazement. Yeah,
Especially when you do like a lot of temple visits in one go, which is what most travelers do because they don't have a choice.
yeah,
It's a full overload. You will know there is a lot of things working, a lot of things has happened.
yeah,
You would want to sit and process everything one by one. Now, ideally,
yeah.
like within like 1 week, 10 days, or 20 days, or in a month, once you visit, it's like it's good time to process and roll. But when you're visiting it, every day, then it's very intense, like you said.
Actually, I personally, when I give advice to people when they're traveling, I tell them don't try and do too much.
Yeah, yeah,
Actually, just pick one or two places, and when you get there, just really experience it fully. Don't just keep bouncing from one place to another, because I think India takes time. There's as you said, there's such a sensory overload that you almost need to just sometimes sit in a place. So when I went down south in 2000, that's why I never got to Kerala, because I was going to go all the way from Mumbai, all the way down to Kerala, and then out to kind of even I
Kanyakumari.
was thinking, yeah, and even thinking Sri Lanka, and then come back up. I didn't make it past Karnataka because I found so many beautiful places, and I actually ended up just sitting. One place I ended up sitting for 10 days. It was just,
Which one was it?
was it? Well, that was actually in Hampi.
Hampi. Oh, wow. Nice.
Yeah. And I was there in the off season. So it was
Okay.
very quiet.
Wow.
It wasn't. And just
Yeah.
as I was leaving, it was starting to get really, really busy. But I just sat there, and I was doing a lot of drawing and sketching in those days.
Nice.
And so I actually just thought, I don't need to be to a lot of places. This is actually the experience. Like, the experience matched what I was actually looking for. Like, there was just enough people around that there was a nice kind of buzz of community and people to have nice talks with and go for walks with. It was easy to be on my own, have some alone time. It was, it was just very nice. And then I went to a couple of other places as well. And it was actually a great way. I came back feeling like that was really good. Like, it was restful. It was, recharging. I felt like I got a really good feel of those places of India without having to kind of exhaust myself bouncing from one place to another. But that's just me. Other people love the buzz of just going here. But I kind of felt like that, we did that, we did that, we did that. We're just kind of ticking things off for the sake of saying I've done that, I went there, without really seeing and feeling a place. You've got to sit there for a few days to really start feeling a place. And sure, if it doesn't resonate with you, then move on for sure,
Yeah. Super. Thank you so much for that. I have like a set of rapid fire questions, so quick answers, on these.
Okay. Fun.
Your top few books that you recommend for anyone moving in the path of spirituality.
Okay. Ramana Maharshi, Who Am I? Nisargadatta, I Am That. Swami Sham, Yog Vashisht.
Superb.
Or Swami Sham's Bhagavad Gita.
Okay. Superb. I will get that too. That's a beautiful recommendation. I'll get that.
Revolutionary revelation on the true essence of the Gita.
Okay. Superb. I'll read that. Thank you so much for that. Top 3 places that any international traveler should visit in India, according to you, again in the spiritual path.
On the spiritual path. Okay. Well, yeah, I guess you've got to go to Rishikesh or somewhere on the Ganga, Rishikesh, Benares, Dehradun, probably Tiruvannamalai if you're talking about spiritual, and then maybe Bodh Gaya.
Yeah, both there. Superb.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's pretty much it from me. Thank you so much
Okay.
for joining the call today. Lovely to
Oh,
hear your
thank you.
experience.
Thank you.
And I must say, this is my longest call.
I was looking at the time and thinking, oh my God, this is like running over. I talk a lot.
No, it is lovely to hear your experience. It is not very often someone gets to live with a realized master, and you have had that opportunity, which is, I think, the peak moment in India anybody can get. Getting
Yeah.
access to a realized master and just being with him for so long. That download is very intense, I'm sure.
Yeah. No, that's so true. So true. And believe me, every day I just think, how lucky am I that I lived that and I'm still living it. That's the thing. it went so deep that I feel still totally connected to Guruji. And his truth when he said, one day you'll see that I'm not actually this that you think I am. And that was all our experience when he left the form. We all felt him so strongly within, and the truth of that actually the Guru is not the form. The form is just the way for the Guru to get and reach you through this human incarnation. But actually the Guru essence is who we are, all of us, always have been. But the outer Guru can light that fire and allow you to have that darshan. So yeah, beautiful, beautiful recognition. Thank you so much.